Okay, thank you. All right, so today's session is recorded. We will share the recording in the Telegram group and also our website. So if you want to rewatch it or if you want to share it with your friends, you can always go to share the link that we will publish in the Telegram group later. Okay, so today we will only cover a few things. Number one, I will talk about what is 3D print post-processing. I am pretty sure a lot of you may not know what is this workshop about today. Okay, today's workshop have nothing to do with software, no software. And today, this workshop is fully relying on your hands. Means if you plan to do it yourself, you probably don't have the tools to do it today. But if you want to try it at home, by all means, you can go and get the tools. I will share the tools, what you need to do post-processing. Okay, so I'll explain to you what is 3D print post-processing. And number two, what are the techniques, what are the methods used for post-processing? We're talking about the fundamentals. Okay, so yes, very good. We are starting to have questions already. So if I see your questions in the chat, I'll immediately answer you. So number one, there's level 1, level 2, and level 3, 3 different difficulty. Level 1 is beginner level, easy. When you 3D print something, you will have supports and you have strings. Okay, and you will need to do some gluing, and then you need to do some sanding, and you need to do some painting. So today I won't talk about what is 3D printing because in this session by right you should know what is 3D printing. But if no, 3D printing is a process of a machine printing an object, a physical object that looks something like this. All right, so you can actually print 3D object. Post-processing means that you make it look beautiful, you make it look nice. Okay, so post-processing means yeah, you make it look nice lah. So today I will show you how you can make something like this, and what are the tools you need. How do you make it shiny? How do you make it look pretty? All these little I only have this demonstration, but I will show you how to do it too. Okay, so again, I see your questions. What is priming? What is sanding? All right, so all these questions, keep it coming later during that part of our agenda. I'll also explain to you what you should do it. How do you do it? Okay, I'll be switching between my camera here. Okay, can you see my camera here? I'll be switching between my camera here and also my slides here. Great. So you can see lah. Okay, so what is 3D print post-processing? 3D print post-processing, a very short one sentence. It means it's a technique to make your 3D printed object beautiful. Okay, when you 3D print something, it doesn't look very nice. Okay, maybe it's just a small part, or it's just one small piece of a bigger part. On the image above, you see, okay, on the left, the photo, you have supports, and then you need to remove the support, and then you need to do some sanding. You need to make it smooth and beautiful. On the right side, same, you printed an owl, and then you need to make it shiny, you need to make it look nice, or else it's just a 3D printed part, it's not a product. So if you're joining the design engineering competition, this will give you a lot of points if you practice post-processing for your print. If you print it and then you use it, it's okay. But if you do some post-processing and make it look like an actual product, then you're actually designing an engineering product. So that's why we are having this session today, so that you know the basics on how you can do simple post-processing. I'm not talking about the advanced stuff. I'm talking about the simple tools. Okay. All right. So I hope you all understand what is 3D print post-processing. I won't dwell too much because, like I said, I will only show you, okay, this is a Kirby, how to make from this to this. Okay, this is a normal printed part. I didn't do anything
and
yet.
That one is a painted thingy. That one's painted, right?
Yes, this is post-processing and this is without post-processing. So from here to here, okay? So very simple. This is the definition of post-processing. Let me put myself under spotlight so everyone can see. Okay, I'm in spotlight, right, Jared? Okay, great. So number one, support removal. When we 3D print something, sometimes we have supports. Like this photo over here, I print a fox. And in this fox, I can't print the fox head without having support underneath. And when I print support, it will look something like this, the orange color part. Okay, it looks very messy. So I need to remove the support. Okay, there are a few pros and there's a few cons. Pros is means it's the benefits of doing support removal and the disadvantage of doing support removal. The benefits of doing support removal is that it's for beginner, right? It's very simple to do. You don't need a lot of tools. Basically you can do it with just a cutter or a plier. And then the disadvantage of doing support removal is that it can leave marks. Means when you remove this support, it will look very ugly. Your part will look very ugly. So you need to do sanding. And then it won't help your appearance of the part. It's just to help you print the part. It won't make it look beautiful, right? In a way. So the only two tools you need is a cutter and a plier. Right. Let me show you a quick one from my camera here. Sorry. Okay, so let's say I want to print this bowl. Okay, you can see, right, this bowl. If I print it this way, I will need to print support down here. Okay, if I print it this way. So once I finish printing it, I need to use a plier. This is a plier. I need to remove the support from the bottom and pull it off. Okay. Similarly, if I print this, okay, I don't print it immediately like that, the entire thing. I will have to print a support in the mouth. I have to print some support underneath here. Okay, so you need to print support so that you can create this object. And after you print it, you have to do some simple removal of support. You just pluck it out, the support. Today, I don't have a pre-printed part with supports, but if you have done 3D printing before, you should probably see this. Okay, supports. All right. Any questions? If you have questions, drop your questions in the chat right now. Yeah, Henry, if you are doing 3D, okay, this is meant for 3D printer. If you use 3D printer, you will need to do post-processing. For 3D pen, you will still need to do post-processing, but not removal support. You don't have to do removal support because there's no support. Okay, you need to remove the orange part, correct? But sometimes it's not orange, it can be the same color as your printed part. So support removal is mainly for 3D printer. We won't be using Cura today. Okay, I'm answering some of the questions that I see in the chat. We won't be using Cura today. We will only, post-processing is fully reliant on hands-on. You need to use your hands to post-processing on your 3D part. You don't do 3D printing, you don't do any software. Okay. Right, number two, also beginner, you need to do string removal. So when you print something and you see there's a lot of these strings in this photo over here, right? You see a lot of these cobweb strings, we call it. You need to remove it with a cutter, or you need to, tidy up, or else your part looks very messy. During your design engineering competition, if you present your part with a lot of strings, it doesn't look very nice. Okay, it looks like a non-post process part. So you need to do some removal, string removal. You can use a cutter to slowly remove all this, to cut it off the web. Okay. So it's very important that you do post-processing because for the judges, when they look at the part, they will be able to see whether you have done post-processing or you haven't done any post-processing on your 3D printed part. Okay. The benefit of doing string removal is that, okay, again, number one, it's very easy to do it and you don't need a lot of equipment to do this. The disadvantage is it takes a lot of time, and again, it doesn't make your part stronger. It doesn't make your part, okay, better. It's just to clean up the part so that it's more presentable. Okay, it takes a lot of time too. Right?
Yeah, but
So
it's like yeah, but it's like worth it, right? At least the
yes.
judge will like take the webbing and turn it into like spider web, and then think that you like then and then think like you like forge another one.
Yeah. So you can remove it lah. If you are printing spider, then yes, you can leave it and then it looks like cobweb. Okay, very nice natural design. Okay. One of the best way to do this string removal is to not print strings at all. Means when you 3D print something, okay, when you 3D print something, you make sure that there's no strings at all. If there's strings, then you will have a very hard time removing these strings. Okay, so how do you not have strings at all? In Cura software, I believe if you all have attended the Saturday session, you can actually control the retraction settings and also the temperature setting. I'm not going to talk more on that, but I want you to go back and watch the previous recording. And okay, Mr. Ahmed from Cytron, he actually discussed about retraction settings and also temperature of a 3D print. Those will help you remove the strings from your prints completely. Okay, so I see some great questions. So someone asked why the fox have two different colors. Support is orange and the fox is green. Yes, by right, your print should be the same color with the support. This is just an illustration for you to see support and the fox. Okay, but usually when you print with a 3D printer, it's usually the same color. Okay. Next. Iron Man. You can actually print Iron Man with a 3D printer, Iron Man helmet. So when you print, let's say, Iron Man helmet, you need to glue the helmet together because you don't just print a whole helmet out from your printer. Okay, you have to print the front piece, you have to print the back piece, you have to print the ear piece, and then you stick it all together. So I will talk about this, and then later I will show you the mask that I've built. The advantage of using glue is that it works for a lot of filament, okay, namely PLA and also PETG. When you're using 3D pen, you're also using PLA filament. And if you print one piece of print object with a 3D pen, you can stick it together with another object using super glue. Okay, I recommend using those DIY 3-second super glue. Okay, this is a very effective super glue. You can just use this and it works too. Right. It's not time consuming. You just need to do it precisely, making sure that every area has you have glue on it, and it's very cheap. It's not expensive. This glue costs about 1 ringgit and 20 cents. Yeah. Okay. The disadvantage is that it makes the weaker point will be at the glue point. Okay, means that if you heat it, it will break. Okay, and also it's a bit dirty lah. You don't want your hands to have glue too. So make sure that you know when you're working on glue, best case you wear gloves. Wear gloves. Okay. I will need everyone. I will need your help to mute yourself. Let me. Okay. Okay, guys, mute yourself. Okay. So let's take a look at how you should glue. Okay, I have this mask over here. It's glued already actually. It's already glued. This mask is printed in 6 different parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 different parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To glue this mask, okay, I know it's a very scary mask, but it's meant for Halloween. To glue this mask, first you will need to make sure that you sanded it, you sand the part, making sure that all the surface that you want to glue is flat. Okay, and then you can choose, okay, you want to use super glue or you want to use hot glue. I tried both. So super glue works well, but over time it will also break. And then I did using hot glue gun as well, but hot glue gun is a little messy. You will see the glue and you will see the lines here very clearly. So again, I'll still recommend using super glue because it's cleaner. The glue is not too excessive. You don't have all the glues coming out like that. But again, it works. So the next job is to make sure that you don't see all these lines. You have to remove all these lines. We'll talk more about it in part 3 later, right? The level 3. So again, for gluing, first you will need to make sure that all your parts are tied together, like this hair dryer. You tie your parts together, making sure that they touch each other first, and also the dimension is all correct before you start gluing. And when you want to start gluing, you drop the glue. Okay, you take your glue and then you drop a little bit by little bit. Okay, you drop. You don't just put a lot of glue, right? Example, this piece. So I just tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I leave it to dry. And after that, I will just pull all the way evenly to the entire stretch. Okay, that, and then pull all the way after it dries. If you put too much glue, okay, it won't help. To be honest, it won't help if you put too much glue. The important thing is to make sure that every part have glue. After finish gluing it, you wipe away all the excessive glue, the outer layer glue. Okay. You can use super glue or you can use the AB epoxy too. You can use epoxy with curing glue. You can buy those in Mr. DIY too. They have a lot of this AB epoxy where you apply the A glue and then later on you just apply the B glue so that it will cure and harden it. Right? Yes. Sean, yeah, you can remove the line. Later I will show you how you can remove the line using fillers, wood fillers. Okay. We will need to do fillers and then we'll do sanding and then only we do the painting. That is in the level 2 and level 3. Okay, great. Keep the question coming. I like your questions. It means you're engaging. Yeah, you're engaged to the presentation. So number 2, level 2, intermediate level. So I break the steps down into 3 levels. Level 1, you do string removal, you do support removal, you do gluing. And then level 2, you do, it's intermediate because you need a bit of skills. You need to practice this over time. This is sanding. So sanding is the most important part in making your 3D print smooth, make it look nice and beautiful. Okay, so level 2, you will need to do dry sanding with few types of sandpaper. Okay, so over here I have a few sandpaper. All right, sandpaper. When we buy sandpaper, all sandpapers have different roughness. Okay, but how do we know different roughness? We look at the sandpaper number here. Okay, let's look at the lowest number I have over here. So it says abrasive paper, number 120. 120 means the grit, Grit. So you need to Okay, look at this number. So 120 means it's very rough. Okay, the paper is very rough. So always look at this number when you buy your sandpaper. So when you send your 3D printed parts, you start by sending with the lowest number you have. You can start with 80 or you can start with 120, and then you start sending your parts. Okay, later I'll show you how. And then after that, you move on to a next bigger number. I have it over here, 320. But of course, you can use 222 if you have it. Okay, and then you move on to 600. And then lastly, you move to 1000. Okay, make sure when you buy your sandpaper, it has to be waterproof so that you can dab some water on your print and you can sand it with water. Okay. So before we begin doing some simple sanding over here, later I will show you how to sand. You need to understand why are we doing sanding in the first place. Number one, the advantage of sanding PLA is to smooth the surface, obviously, and basically all the FDM printer materials. We're talking about PLA, ABS, PETG, a lot of different our Ender 3, this type of printers, this style of printer is called FDM printers. So all these printers, the parts that it prints can be sand. You can use sandpaper to sand. Okay. All the sandpapers I bought are actually all the tools that I got is from Mr. DIY. You can get everything that I get in Mr. DIY. Okay. The disadvantage of sanding is it's time consuming. You need to be very patient with your parts. You have to sand and sand and sand over time. And then it's a very, when it comes to tiny little feature like, my little Valpix here, all these little corners here, the area here below, sorry, I can't zoom in. But then, yeah, every tiny little part is very difficult to sand. Okay, it's very difficult to sand every tiny little part. So that's the disadvantage of sanding. Okay, and it can also affect the dimension accuracy when you want to print, when you want to build something like, let's say a boat. Okay, you can't just sand this area. If you sand this area, then your dimension will be off. The bolt is not the dimension that you need anymore. So you have to make sure that the dimension is correct by not sanding too much. So a couple of tools you need. Number one, sandpaper. You can buy a few sandpaper. Like I said, I got mine from Mr. DIY. You can get it from a local hardware store. Local hardware store, they'll probably have more options. Mr. DIY, lesser options. And then get a sponge. Okay. I'll tell you why you should get a sponge. Number three, you need gloves and you need face mask. Face mask is so that when you sand, those small, tiny little plastic particles, you won't inhale all these particles. So make sure you wear your face mask and also gloves. All right. Let me look at some questions here. So sanding won't completely remove all the PLA away. Once you try sanding it, you will realize that it's not easy to sand plastic. It's very difficult to slowly remove plastic. It will take very, very, very long time for you to sand using your hand to remove plastic, right, to affect the dimension. Right? Even though you have so many grids, it's still not easy. It's not like wood lah. Okay. If you have a sander, a machine that can help you do sanding, that will be better. You can sand it faster, easier, more effectively. If you're using hand, then it's very slow. It's a very, very slow process. All right. So now I am going to do some sanding. Just to show you the method that I use for sanding. Over here, I have my bowl. Okay, my bowl. Let me zoom in. Okay, you see my bowl over here. This I haven't done any post-processing yet. You can see lines. There are lines over here. Okay, there are lines over here. This is printed with 0.24 mm per layer. right? Settings in Cura. Okay, all of this is not being post-processed. So first step, you will need to use a cutter and then just peel off all the edges here. You see, just peel off all the edges here. Because you don't want to start sanding when all these plastics are still there. Right? These are created from the support previously. So just cut it off using a cutter. Okay, see? All right. Using a cutter, the cutter, right now I just simply cut it over around like that, and it's already smoother a bit already. Okay, next step, I'm gonna do sanding. All right, good question, Ching Le Hui. Why do we need face masks when we sand? When we sand using a higher grade sandpaper, you actually create plastic particles. The particles will be very small. It will fly everywhere, right? You don't want to inhale those particles into your lungs. It's basically you eating plastic lah. So wear your first face mask when you do sanding. Okay. All right. Next, you will want to cut your um your sandpaper into smaller pieces like that. Okay, cut it out this way so that it's easier for you to wrap it together with the sponge. That's where the sponge comes in. Okay, so how do you wrap it? Okay, right now I have a 600 grit. Okay, just to show you an example, but of course you start with a lower grit first, 120, before you go to 600. So I put my sponge here and then I just cover it this way. Okay, a sponge. Normally for woodworking, we put something harder, but for 3D printed parts, I prefer something soft inside so that when you can actually curve your print, you can actually curve your sandpaper together with the print and then sand, right? If you put a wooden piece inside here, it will be hard. So you are only sanding this area, but with a sponge, you can actually press it down and then sand a more curvy area. Okay. For 3D printed parts, it's printed in layers. Okay. That's very difficult to zoom. It's printed in layers. Okay. Layer. If you use your finger and do it this way, you can actually feel the layers. I'm not gonna do a hardcore sand right now, but just to demonstrate to you how should you sand. Okay. You can put your hand inside here underneath. This is my part, and then you just sand it up and down. Sand against the line. If the line is this way, go up and down. You want to make sure the line disappears, and then you keep going in circular motion. Move the part. Don't stay on the same place for too long. Okay, then the rest will be uneven. So move the part as you go. Okay. This is a very time-consuming process. It's a very tedious process, but then the results will be satisfactory. When you see the results, you will love it. Right now I'm using a 600 grit. It's not very appropriate, but then of course you start with a lower grit and then you slowly increase to 1,000. Okay, so after you sand, bring your part and soak it into water. You can wash it with soap water too. Wash it and then dry it, rinse it, dry it. And then after that, continue with sanding a higher grit sandpaper. You have to repeat the process a few times and use your finger to feel whether you feel the line or not. If you don't feel any lines at all, then that means it's great already. You can proceed with another step. Okay. Any questions, guys? Okay, I got one question from Amar Danish. He asks, what is the difference between sanding with or without water? If you sand without water, that's basically called dry sand. And usually dry sand is done using lower grade paper, means the rougher paper. When you sand with rougher paper, lower grade number, the particle is larger, slightly larger. Okay, it won't go through your face mask that easily. As you go higher and higher, the number, the particle that you send, the plastic particle will be smaller and smaller, finer and finer. So having water means that the particle will straight away enter the water. When you send, all the plastic and everything will stick together with the water. It won't fly everywhere. That's why you use water sanding when you go higher grade. Okay, because you don't want to, again, you don't want to inhale all the plastic into your lungs. All right. Okay, so next part. I see another question. Can you cover the glue with paint? I'm sorry guys, but I think I'm the only one that sees all these questions. It's a direct message. So can you cover the glue line with paint? This one, right? Glue line. So you can't really cover the glue line with paint without taking additional steps. Okay, I will show you how to cover these lines later. Right? You need additional components, you need additional tools. Okay. So sandpaper, done. All right, here's a quick for these slides later we will share it to you. If you want to refer it again, by all means, you can refer it. After you sand it, submerge your part into water. Okay, and then after that, use 1000 grit sandpaper or 600 and above and continue to smooth it. So by the end of sanding, your part should feel smooth to your touch. You shouldn't feel the line anymore. Okay, it should be very smooth. Someone asked me this, will you die if you inhale the plastic? No, you won't die immediately because we inhale carbon monoxide, we inhale plastic, we inhale all kinds of things every day. So you won't die immediately. But then for long term, if you do this every single day, then you don't want to inhale it every single day because it's harmful to your lungs. You don't know what will happen. It will affect you for long term. Right? Same goes to wood. If you do sanding with wood, you should wear an inhaler or you should wear a face mask. Okay, because wood is also bad to your lungs. You don't want to inhale it for long term. All right, that was once I inhaled too much wood and then my nose got too sensitive. I start sneezing for the entire month. Okay, another question just now mentioned, need to dry product right after sand. Okay, so you need to dry it. You can wipe it with a dry cloth and then you can leave it under the sun. No, we are dealing with PLA material, so don't leave it under the sun. You will melt your 3D printed part. So bear in mind that most of you are printing with PLA. Don't dry your print under the sun because it's going to melt your print. Okay, use a hair dryer, cold air and blow it, or put it under a fan and slowly blow and dry it. Okay, cold dry it, don't hot dry it. Okay. Right, that's a very great question. Yeah, those who have sinus, please wear the mask. For wood, can we sand with water? No, don't sand wood with water. Okay, wood absorbs water. If you sand wood with water, then all the wood will absorb all the water, and your wood will kembang, it will expand, and then it will destroy. It will spoil very fast. So don't use wet sand with wood. Okay, wear the inhaler with wood and use the vacuum cleaner with wood. Can use fridge. If your fridge have food, then I don't recommend placing your 3D printed part in your fridge, right? Okay. All right, I'll be moving on, but great question. Keep it coming later. I will look again. So now proceed to level 3. Level 3 is paint and priming. This is a longer topic because this is where your print turns into, you know, beautiful parts. Okay, paint and priming, yes, it includes airbrush, air spray. But over here, I'm going to talk about using, you know, just can spray. Can spray is the best way to post-process your print, right? The fundamental way to post-process, you don't need a specific airbrush skill to post-process your print. So the advantage of paint and priming is that it enhances the look, make it feel like a real product, provide a smooth surface, a shiny surface, and then it works for all the FDM print materials. Again, same thing. The disadvantage is, again, it's very time consuming. So post-processing is a very time consuming process. Initially, I wanted to do the entire process during this 1 hour session, but then I realized, oh, it will take longer than that. Right? You can't finish post-processing in 1 hour. You're gonna do a lot of waiting. You wash your part and you wait for it to dry. You spray your part and you wait for it to dry. You need to wait and wait and wait for it to dry. If you rush, then, and if your paint is not dry, then you are going to mess up the print. Okay, so this is I have a sample here. Okay, this is a poor Kirby. Okay, because it was being rushed. While I create this, I rush the steps. I do priming, I do painting, I do sanding, filling, all these steps, but I rushed it. So it looks a bit depressing. All right. I can't really zoom again. It's very hard to zoom here. Yeah, it looks sad lah. But then for this one looks nice because I take my time to slowly work on it. So you can't really rush post-processing. It's dangerous to rush it too. So it can be expensive slightly when it comes to buying spray. Unless you're using acrylic paint, then you can paint it yourself. It doesn't use a lot of paint. But if you use spray paint, then you can easily finish a whole bottle, right, in a single product or 2 products. You will need some skills to achieve nice, beautiful results. You need to, you know, learn how to use the spray cans, how to use airbrush. You need to have some aesthetic sense, artistic sense, so that you can achieve beautiful results. If you go on to the YouTube and search for 3D print Iron Man suit, you'll see a lot of people actually created their own Iron Man suit. And Iron Man is one of the best, easiest example for people to try post-processing because the color is very straightforward. Metallic red and gold color. So you can use those and buy the spray also. Okay, I have gold color too. Right, you can try different colors. Okay, so for basic level, just use spray paint, but then wear your mask when you're using spray paint because you don't want to inhale this. And then number 2, airbrush. Airbrush is more advanced, but it saves a lot of material. You just spray at a specific location when you want to, you know, paint it. I won't talk more on airbrush. I'll only talk about this spray. But yeah, let me look at the questions first. So someone asked me, what is priming? So priming means after you finish sanding and you wash it, it's already smooth. You can do priming 1 layer, means you are adding a layer on top of a print. And then after it's dry, you add your paint on top of it. Okay, priming is just preparing your part for painting. After you finish painting it, you can do another liquor priming to make it shiny, to make it look nice. Okay, it's like applying oil on your partner to make it look beautiful and shiny. Okay, if you need the Kirby file later, I can share it with you. So yeah, you can use this post-processing. So all the anime figurine, all those, right? There's a lot of post-processing done. Those are the those people are they are very skillful in post-processing. They can paint their parts, their 3D printed parts, to make it look like the anime figurine. Okay, if you're very good at this, you can make a lot of money with this, right? But again, it takes a lot of skills and practice to do painting and post-processing. Okay, what material used to draw eyes, mouth, anything on 3D model? So I use acrylic paint. I use acrylic paint over here. Acrylic paint, simple acrylic paint for me to paint. After I paint it, I spray, I prime it. Okay, later I'll show you how to do it. Okay, and last question, I'm gonna answer the last question and then I'll continue my slides. What is the difference between airbrush and spray painting? Spray painting is this big bottle one is spray painted. Airbrush is where you use a tiny little gun and then you just paint it at a specific location. I have one set here, but I didn't set it up for a show today. But if you're in Penang Science Cluster, you can also use our airbrush here if you know how to use it. Okay, continue with the slides. Paint and priming level, advanced level. First step is to apply filler to any gaps and sand. So just now someone asked, how do I cover the lines on this mask? Yeah, how do I cover the lines? When I glue it together already, I can see these lines, visible lines. It's very ugly. So how do I cover these lines? I use filler. Right? There are many types of filler, but in this case, I'm using wood filler. This is for you to fill wood. When you cut tables or chairs, you can use this filler to fill the holes. With the wood breaks, then you can fill it with this filler. So, okay, I will continue with a demonstration. Move all my parts to the side here. So how do I use wood filler? I'm going to fill, okay, this is the filler here. Open up the cover. Yeah. Okay, let me just remove this. And then, okay, it looks like putty or like Play-Doh. Okay, it's basically wood filler lah. If you leave this open air for too long, it will solidify. Okay, it's meant to be like soft. Okay, but it's not chocolate lah. Right. So take some and then apply it on your part. In this case, say I want to cover this area. I'm not sure if you can see it, but then just apply it this way. Make sure you use the scraper that is given to you. Just scrape it down this way to cover the part. So in a way you are using, oh no, please don't eat this. Okay, this is wood. In a way you are covering the parts where there is no plastic using wood. You're covering with wood. Okay, and then after you scrape it off. Okay, make sure that it's all filled. Okay, I'm doing this with my Jason because I've been seeing the line for a very long time already. And today I'm showing you how I'm doing it. So you just cover the lines. Use wood filler or any type of other fillers, but recommended to use wood filler. Okay. And then just cover all the lines all the way down below. Hope you guys can see clearly. I'm not sure if the webcam is behaving. But then these steps will completely remove the lines. Not magically, you still need to do some other steps. Okay. All right. I'm gonna scrape it off one layer. Okay, not Nutella lah. All right. So after you finish it, let me see if I can zoom. Zoom. Okay, the line is slightly, all right, disappearing now. So the next step is to continue with, you leave it to dry. You have to leave it to dry first. Okay, you have to let it dry. Don't sand it immediately because it's gonna remove all the filler. Let it dry for a while, and after you finish drying, you sand it, flatten it, make sure that it's the same level with your print. Okay, right now you're filling the hole. That's why it's called filler. You're filling the hole, the line over there. After you're done, you sand it down, and then we continue with priming, right? So this will remove holes. When you're using the filler, won't it leave behind some redundant? Yes, but in this case we haven't do priming and painting yet. Okay, you have to do priming and painting after you fill it. Okay, this is the step where after you sand all this part, you stick it together, you fill it, you sand it, then only you do priming and print and painting. So in the end of the day, this all will be covered by paint. You won't be able to see this anymore. Yeah, so I printed this with white, but then yes, after you do this, you have to still, if this color is white, you still have to paint it with white. Okay. What is the sandpaper grade to use to sand after apply the wood filler? You can start with 400 and above, and then slowly you go all the way up to 600 and 1000. You don't have to go too low level, too low grade after you apply filler because you have already sent the entire print. You have already sent all the print ready. I'm not sure. I think you can see it here, nicer here, clearer. After you send all this with low grit, the filler here, you only need to send with high grit. You can go all the way 400 and above. So when I dry with the remove unnecessary, yes, so when you dry, after it dry, you sand the part so that it's flat. You can't remove completely. This filler, it will fill the remaining lines and holes that is missing with prints. It will go in, but then you just sand to make sure that that line is not visible anymore. Can you sheet the 3D things to make hard? No, you don't sheet it because it will melt. Why don't we remove when it is wet? Only holes, any fillings for holes. Remove. Okay. Elaborate your questions. While you elaborate, I'll continue with the slides. So after you apply your filler in your gap, next is to let the filler dry and then tie your print on a cord. Tie it up with a string and hang it there so that you can continue with spraying. So this is where you do priming and paint. I have my lacquer paint over here. There's a label here, lacquer. Okay, not lacquer, but lacquer. It's a coating lah. Right, I use this for priming. So I spray a layer on top of my prints while it's hanging like that. And then after that, only I spray my paint. Okay, spray my color. So clear first, then paint, clear, dry, paint, dry, and then clear and dry again. Okay. So to be sure, make sure that before you prime or you paint, shake your bottle well. Okay, make sure you shake the bottle. Every time you press the button, you press the nozzle, you shake and then use white stroke. You spray it this way, this way, this way. Should I demonstrate? I don't think I want to demonstrate, but the distance have to be 30 cm to 40 cm away from the model. Don't go too near to the model and spray like that. I should be this distance. When you spray, your hand move left and right, left and right. Okay. Let me show how to show you all. Okay. Say I have a print here and I'm going to spray this. I'm not gonna hold it with my hand. So I'm going to hold it with a something lah. Do it outdoor, don't do it indoor. And then I have my spray pen here. This is lacquer. I'm not sure if you can see the label. Lacquer, Lacquer. Okay, hold it this way. But best is if you tie this with a string and then this direction, take it, and then move all the way this direction, down, up. Okay, wear your face mask when you're doing this. I'm going to wear my face mask right now. Okay, this thing is very smelly. So spray. And then twist. And then spray. Don't burn it, please. So I'm just spraying very inconsistent for both sides, just for demonstration. But you get the gist, right? You get the point, right? Spray it from far. Use misting technique. This is misting technique. You don't press like that, and then it become wet. Okay, you move left and right, left and right, left and right. Okay, avoid painting it in thick layers, making it so thick. Holding the can in any spot for a long time. Don't hold there like that. It's not mosquito repellent. Okay, don't hold it for too long. I'm gonna leave it on the floor. Holding the can too close of the model, it'll create blobs. So it's very ugly. Okay. So again, after you finish priming, you sand it. Okay. After you finish priming already, you don't print with color yet. Just now I use priming first. After I finish priming it, I will sand it again. I have to let it dry, then I'll sand it with 1000 grit. After finishing that, then only I spray the color. Okay, clean it, then only spray the color. So again, post-processing, a lot of steps. But after you finish all the steps, your results will be very beautiful. In the last session, do we need to buy the 3D pen? In the last session, no. Okay, this is a separate question. Right. During all our workshops, you can and you don't have to join, to make the sessions, because all these sessions are recorded. You can always rewatch the session, and 3D pen, you can use the 3D pen later. Cura, you can use the Cura later. Where the fillings upon holes and lines, it's also a necessary part like the smooth surface. Why sand after dry when we can remove it when it's wet? Why sand after dry when we can remove it when it's wet? Okay, when you remove it when it's wet, it will stick on top of the sandpaper. Okay, when you sand, okay, like this example, okay, it will stick on top of your sandpaper. So it will become very slimy and wet when you sand it when it's still wet. So wait for it to dry so that when it sands, you are like sanding wood instead of sanding slimy wood. Okay, what do you use to make basic color? I use normal spray paint. Before I end the session, right, because I'm running out of time, I'm going to show you some other tips and tricks. Okay, I have my Kirby here. There's eyes and there's mouth. If I want to, okay, let me put it on my table here. If I want to spray my Kirby color, so what I can do is use masking tape. After you finish sanding and you're ready to spray, use masking tape to tape over the eye. Okay, on each side of the eye. I'm gonna do one side, then you get the idea. So I place it this way. And then use penknife to slice off the eye so that when I spray, I won't spray on the eye. You get the idea? When I spray, my eye is still green color. And then remove it. Okay. Right, so do the same for all the eyes and the mouth and everything. And then after you finish it, you spray pink color. Spray pink, and then you remove this masking tape. Okay, this is masking tape. You remove the masking tape, then only you start painting. Right. How I do the paint, I take a color. Let's say I want to paint right now. Acrylic paint is simple to use. Okay, you don't need to it doesn't work with watercolor. So take a very thin brush. Okay, and then say I want to paint my mouth. Okay, make sure it's thick. I don't know if you all can see clearly or not. And of course, prepare a piece of tissue so you can wipe it off if you hit the other side. Okay, this is just a demonstration you need. Assuming that you have already sprayed pink color, everything already done, then only you start coloring. Okay, but I'm demonstrating it to you. This is just sample. Can you don't penknife the masking tape? If you don't penknife the masking tape, then you have to find a way to cut the shape out. How to remove colors after spray? After spray, I don't really understand the question. Maybe try to rephrase it. Okay, guys, I'm gonna allow you to unmute yourself. If you have question, feel free to straight away ask the question. Right? If no, then I have to wrap up today's session already. This is the feedback form, but again, right now Q&A. Ask your questions. Turn on your mic. Talk to me, and ask your questions. Any questions? I know it's a bit rush. It's a bit fast. But then, yeah, yes. Any questions?
Teacher, can you send the recording at the group?
Sorry?
Can you send the recording at the group?
What coding?
Send the recording in the group.
Oh,
Yes,
recording. Okay, can. We will share the recording in the group. End of the session.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes.
Is PLA Plus or PLA Pro available to use?
Yes, you can use PLA Plus, PLA Pro. I think the PLA Plus, any other PLA, right? When they say PLA Pro, PLA Plus, it's just a different mix of PLA. They added different, different compound inside the filament. You can still use it, and you can still use the same process for post-processing. Okay. When you print it, the temperature and everything will be slightly different. Okay. PLA Plus is slightly stronger than PLA, normal PLA. So you can use it lah. You can use it.
Okay.
It's not do this can get more mark.
If you do this, yes, you can get more mark because it means that you are creating a product. You're not just using 3D printer and then print like that and then just show like that. You are processing your part. In engineering, when you create something, we have to process it to make it look nice, make it look presentable. So post-processing will definitely get you extra marks. Okay, yeah, it's also effort and also patience. This is a lot of hands-on skills. Okay, if you can practice it a little bit, even sending all this stuff, if you can do it, it will definitely give you extra marks.
Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Welcome. Remember to fill in the feedback form to receive
Uh,
a certificate of
teacher.
participation. Yeah.
Teacher, when the certificate link will be sent?
The certificate will send in 1 or 2 weeks time, not so soon. But you fill in the form first and then make sure your email.
Teacher, how to
We will send it to your email.
Teacher.
Okay, bye-bye.
teacher, how can you find the feedback form?
I put the link inside the chat already.
That's it. Enough is enough.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Teacher,
Okay.
yesterday
Teacher.
Okay, thanks, Teacher Kelly.
Teacher.
Yeah,
Bye.
one at a time.
Teacher, bye-bye.
Bye bye. One at a time. Who else?
I'm having a
Bye-bye, teacher.
course today. I couldn't join the course, so I watched the recording. But still, can I fill the feedback form for yesterday's one?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and fill it.
Okay, it isn't closed, right?
No, no, no. You just
All right.
select the correct session.
All right, thanks.
Any more questions?
No.
Okay, if no more questions, I welcome you all to join our Telegram group. We posted our Telegram group on our website too. Make sure you are there, and if you have questions, you can ask us in the group. Yeah.
Teacher.
Uh-huh.
How to take out the support from the 3D model?
Use a cutter, but you have to be very, very careful. Okay, slowly you hold onto the support and then you just twist, twist, twist. Okay, you have to slowly twist. If you think that it's too hard, right, you don't pull like that. Okay, you slowly twist it, twist it. Be very careful. The cutter is very, very sharp. If you are scared of using a cutter, use a plier. It's not that sharp, but you can still hold and then slowly twist and pull. Okay, you have to practice it. You have to try something small and simple first, and then you just practice it. Okay. Did I answer your question?
I have a questions about the color of the support and the model. Just now, so the color of the model and support should be in one color, or it can be print in different colors.
It'll be in the same color.
Same
It'll be in
color,
the
right?
same color. For most of our printers, we print only single color, so it will be in the same color.
Okay, so it will be harder when we remove it, right?
It will be the same lah. All right. So it won't be any harder. It still will be the same. So what you can do, okay, for a quick tip now, if you want to print support in your Cura setting, when you click enable support, right, when you tick the support, under the support there, you should be able to see an option, overhang angle. Okay, if you increase the overhang angle, the number, you will print lesser support. Then you don't have to remove support so difficult. You'll print lesser support. Okay, so the option is called overhang angle.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, guys, if no more questions, then I will see you all in the Telegram group. Tomorrow session will be on Blender by Jared. He will be conducting 3D modeling using Blender. If you don't have Blender, you can follow through the session first. But if you already installed Blender, you can follow Jared's session during the 1 hour session. He will teach you how to design what, Jared?
Yeah, I will be teaching you all how to design your own tall hammer.
You create your Thor hammer, okay, on using Blender.
With your name on top of it. So I've shared the link for the Blender download on the chat box. So for students who want to learn together, hands-on with me, so you can go to the link and download and install Blender for your computer.
Yeah, again, if you can't make it for tomorrow's session, we will drop the recording in our Telegram group. So once again, thank you very much for joining today's session. We will see you again tomorrow. If you can't download Blender, you can join our Tinkercad session on Wednesday. Also 3D modeling software. We have Blender, we have Tinkercad, and then on Thursday we'll have 3D Pen. So again, join us and we will see you soon. Thank you. Bye. Bye everyone.
Bye, teacher. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Teacher, bye bye.